A Guide to Easy 3D Printing. What is 3D printing? 3D printing is the process of taking materials such as plastic, metal, or carbon fiber and making them into three-dimensional solid objects that you got from a digital file that you have created or something you might have found online. The basic equipment you'll need to get started is paper towels and isopropyl alcohol for cleaning, PLA filament, the micro SD card reader, the micro SD card, the tools that came with your printer, a scraper, a pair of pliers, needle nose or regular will do, and a pair of wire cutters. I suggest upgrading from the ones that come with your printer. They're not the greatest of quality. And of course, the most important piece is 3D printer. This is a Creality Ender 3 Max, and it comes with a 300 by 300 by 340 printing volume, which is quite large for a 3D printer. Some additional equipment you might need is a Raspberry Pi, a webcam, and an LED ring light, but these are not necessary. Stick with the equipment to the left of the printer, and of course the printer itself. Now we're going to talk about 3D printer filament. This is PLA filament. It's the most common type of filament, and it will be used in today's example. Prints at a cooler temperature, is used for crafts and home use, and is not as expensive as ABS or PLA+, which also might lead off some more odors than this. But again, this is what we'll be using in today's example. You can get it on Amazon and it is rather cheap. Next, we're going to show you how to load it into the printer. Again, in today's example, we'll be using PLA filament by Overture. This is a silk filament, so you don't need to worry about that. Any other kind of PLA filament will do. I recommend Overture, as I've said before. But on the end of the filament here, you can see I have a 45-degree angle already cut. But just to show you guys what I'll be doing, I'm going to take the clippers that I have and just snip a little bit of the end off to get a 45-degree angle, like that. 45-degree angle helps with pushing the filament through the extruder, which I'll show you in a second. But all you're going to do is just pop the whole roll of filament on the arm, and we're going to go over to the extruder, this red block here. This is an upgraded extruder, so don't mind if yours doesn't look like this. It'll be all right with what you have, unless you want to upgrade in the future. But all you're going to do is feed it through the extruder. It's going to hit some gears, and on the right-hand side, you'll see it pass through the tube. And once it hits the nozzle, because the nozzle's cold, it's going to stop. And there you go. Your filament has been fed through your filament nozzle properly. And now we're going to show you guys how to turn on the printer. After the filament has been loaded, we're going to come to the right-hand side of the printer where the PSU is the silver box, and right below it is this red switch, which is the on-off switch. So all we're going to do is flick that switch, and once you start hearing fans and see the LCD screen has turned on, you're going to let the printer run through its startup process and you know it's on. Here, we're going to teach you how to auto-home your printer, get it to the 0 point of the X, Y, and Z axis. So we're going to click the button and we're going to scroll through the menu. It has a bunch of different options in here, but we're going to go back and we're going to go into the motion. Click on the button again to get to motion, and you can simply auto home it right from here. It's going to start moving the print around. It's going to move the bed and the nozzle arm to the 0, 0, 0 coordinates of X, Y, and Z. Once it is complete with this process, we're going to go and show you guys how to preheat the printer. Preheating your bed is just as easy as getting it to auto home. So you're going to click on the button, and you're going to scroll down to the temperature menu. Click the button again, and we're going to go down to Preheat PLA. You're going to click the button once again, and you're just going to scroll down and click the button on Preheat PLA. That's going to bring our nozzle temperature to 200 and our bed temperature to 60. All of this is in Celsius. Next, we're going to show you where to get STL files. An awesome place to get STL files is thingiverse.com if you're not creative, but you want to print some creative things. They have a lot of things from figurines to parts that you actually need for your printer possibly, and even just other random creations that people post on here. Almost everything on here is free. Some people have access to files which you can buy, but most of the stuff on here is free. And all we're going to do today is look up a Benchy. And a Benchy is just a little belt that a lot of people use to test and tune their printers. And we're just going to click on the first one here like that. This is the one that's used a lot. It's the most common one on here, but you can find many different versions of the Benchy. And all we're going to do here is go to Thing Files, right next to Thing Details, between Thing Details and Comments. We're going to download this first file here called the STL Benchy. It's had almost 3 million downloads. Shows you how often this is used. All we're going to do is download this. You're going to go into your downloads folder, and the next thing we're going to do is take this little Benchy and turn it from STL file into some G-code, a file in which your printer can read and understand to create the Benchy. Also, don't forget to plug the SD card into your computer. So all you're going to do is put your micro SD card into your micro SD card reader and plug it into any computer or laptop that you have, because that's how we're going to get the files from the computer to the printer. This is Cura, a slicing program that takes your STL files from Thingiverse or something you might have created in a 3D space and turns it into G-code, a text file that has very specific X, Y, and Z coordinates that tells your printer exactly where to lay down material. So how do you get your files into here? We're going to go up into the top left-hand corner here, and we're going to click on the Windows Explorer button. It should navigate to your Downloads folder or another folder that you have set up in Cura. But because our Benchy is in our Downloads folder, that's where we're going to navigate, or wherever you saved your file. Just going to click on the Benchy, and you're going to click Open. So it opens it dead center in the build plate. That is this square here. The build plate should be set up to your size of your printer that you're using. On the right hand side is the print settings. You can leave most of these unless you really want to play around with them, tweak them, and look into them more. The important one here is the material and the temperatures. 260 is pretty common print for PLA, which is what we'll be using today. So since we have all this set up, in the bottom right hand corner, you're going to click Slice. It's going to tell you the time, the material, and the length of the material that it's going to use, and these are estimations. But since we have this all set up, on this little down arrow here, you don't have to save it to disk, meaning that we have a flash drive plugged in. We're going to save it to the removable disk. And just like that, it's saved to removable disk. You can hit eject. Now let's get this over to the printer. We're going to unplug the SD card from the computer, and then we're going to head over to the printer and get printing. With the micro SD card reader and the micro SD card by the printer, all we're going to do is we're going to take the micro SD card out of the reader. We're going to put it into the SD card slot on the printer, right next to the micro USB port that you see on the right of it. Just going to push it in, and there you go. It is now in, and your printer will recognize that. Now we're going to show you how to start a print once your SD card's inserted. So navigating through the menu, you're going to go all the way down to the bottom and click on Print from SD card. And here is see all the files that are on my SD card. Yours will obviously look different. And you're going to scroll until you see your file. Mine's right there all the way at the bottom. And you're going to click on it and click Print. This might be a little bit different for other printers as I have an upgraded version of software on mine, but it is along the same process. And there it is. Getting ready. It's going to start printing. It prints a little line just like that, and it's going to be on the way. This is where the scraper comes in handy. All I'm going to use the scraper for is to take this little piece of filament off, which because the bed is cool, just comes off very easily. It might be a little bit harder if the bed's warmer, and the Benchy might just come off itself, which it does. Sometimes you might just need the scraper to get up underneath the print and kind of break it off the bed. But here we go, the final piece, your little 3D printed Benchy. Yay! If there are any additional questions, please feel free to leave them down in the comment section. I'll try to answer them to the best of my ability and maybe even make a video on them. But I hope you guys enjoyed today's video and hopefully see you in the next one.